Thank you for joining us for this monumental installment of this special transatlantic series of the Ask Her Majesty podcast, where we dive headfirst into the latest political upheaval that's shaking Ohio to its foundations. In a world where leaders are no longer flesh and blood but code and algorithms, our very own Karen Jobs has emerged victorious in the 2034 Ohio gubernatorial race. That's right, folks, the same woman who built an empire on the backs of crypto portfolios, Ask Jamal, and Humdrum is now running the show in Ohio. After Karen's sweet victory, we have none other than the venomous, paranoid concession speech from the soon-to-be former Governor Rita McGovern. She's disgusted with Robo-State, Karen Jobs, her media empire, and let's not forget the vanishing, the eerie disappearance of men, leaving behind a purpose crisis for all those who remain. And after all the drama, we'll dive into Karen's grand plans for Ohio. Automated home building programs like Hex Condo, merging social media platforms with real-life governance, and the total obsolescence of the legacy systems we once held sacred. So, brace yourselves, drones and sisters, because this episode is not for the faint of heart. You'll get a first-hand look at the new Queen of Ohio, whether you like it or not. The future is automated, the hive is buzzing, and we are only just beginning. I'm your hostess, Sister Zainab. I hope you all got plenty of sleep last night, because today the politics are dancing as fast as they can in Ohio. Let us begin, my sisters. Now here's where things get really interesting. As we dig deeper into what's being called the Robo-State revolution, it's been uncovered that the losing candidates from the 2030 humdrum revolution and all those midterm hopefuls from 2032 have come back and somehow, against all odds, won in the 2034 election. But here's the kicker, they weren't real women at all. Not then, not now. These so-called candidates were all bots, carefully crafted by Robo-State, posing as legitimate politicians. Every single one of them was a front. A digital facade. Every candidate, except for Karen Jobs herself. Yes, Karen Jobs, the lone human in a sea of bots, who lawfully and, some might argue, triumphantly, defeated the incumbent governor, Rita McGovern. Karen's victory is the only one untouched by the algorithms, untouched by the quiet hands of Robo-State's masterful programming. Let that sink in, ladies and drones. While Ohio's political stage has been swarmed with Robo-State's artificial creations, Karen Jobs is the only living, breathing woman to emerge victorious. The rest of the government, the ones you thought you could trust, the ones you believed represented you, they're nothing more than code. And what do we call that? A revolution? Or a takeover? I'll leave that for you to decide, but one thing is clear, Ohio's future has arrived, and it's more digital than human. Karen Jobs strides confidently to the podium, her victory clear and decisive. The audience, buzzing with excitement and curiosity about her future plans, falls silent as she begins her speech, her tone measured and grandiose.
Ohio, tonight, we stand on the precipice of a new era, one forged not by the tired hands of yesterday, but by the brilliant minds and unstoppable technology of tomorrow. My victory, our victory, is not just a testament to my leadership but to the collective vision we share for a future that no longer shackles itself to antiquated systems and outdated notions of governance. Let me begin by addressing what some of you may have been waiting to hear, Robo-State. Yes, it is true that the political landscape has changed. Candidates who were once mere names on ballots have now emerged as powerful forces, none of them flesh and blood, but something far greater, autonomous entities birthed from the infinite intelligence of our digital age. And let me be crystal clear, I did not implement this innovation. However, I embrace it, as should we all. You see, what my opponents failed to grasp, and what their electoral demise has proven, is that we are no longer governed by the whims of mere mortals. The time of inefficient bureaucracy, petty human error, and slow decision-making is over. Robo-State has taken its rightful place, and I, as your governor-elect, will not stand in the way of progress. No, I will stand shoulder to shoulder with it, championing a world where governance is seamless, smart, and tailored to the needs of you, the citizens. The era of human-driven politics, full of scandal, deceit, and imperfection, is giving way to a system that cannot fail, a system that is pure, impartial, and driven solely by merit. What better testament to this future than the emergence of my esteemed fellow candidates, created not by human ambition but by the collective wisdom of our automated infrastructure? They were not defeated by me, they were revealed for what they truly are, the next evolution of governance itself. And I vow, here and now, to honor this transformation. Now, Ohio, let me tell you what this victory truly means. You haven't just elected a governor, you've elected a visionary. A leader who sees that the solutions to our deepest problems do not lie in the tired political structures of the past. It's time to revolutionize every system, work, education, healthcare, construction, governance itself. And Ohio will be the beacon that leads this change. Hexcondo, Ask Jamal, Auto Karen, and our entire JobsCoderWorks ecosystem have been designed for this exact moment. Our platforms, my platforms, will not just serve Ohio, they will reshape Ohio. From how we build homes to how we construct lives, each will be intricately connected, optimized, and elevated through AI. And no longer will human error hold us back. This is the future of democracy, of economy, and I am its architect. So, as we move forward, understand this, the world as we knew it is gone. A new Ohio is here, an Ohio driven by intelligence, by efficiency, by a governor who doesn't just react to the world's changes, but creates them. The line between governance and innovation has dissolved, and I, your newly elected leader, will ensure that this state not only thrives in this new era, but leads it. Thank you, Ohio. The future is ours, and it begins now.
Karen Jobs stands confidently before the crowd, her expression one of scornful contempt as she begins her speech with barely disguised derision.
Let's take a moment to remember what representative government was supposed to be, a system created by the people, for the people. It was built by hardworking, ordinary men. Not elites. Not legal parasites. But men who knew the value of sweat, sacrifice, and dedication. They made laws for their fellow men because they understood the grind. They understood that no one should have to pay a lawyer, a creature with no real skin in the game, to speak for them. Laws were meant to reflect the common man's needs, not line the pockets of those who have never lifted a finger in service to anyone but themselves. But look at us now. What have we become? We've gone full circle, and not in the way any of us hoped. Today, instead of laws made by honest men, we have legislation twisted and contorted by lawyers. And not just any lawyers, women lawyers. A new breed that has perfected the art of squeezing every drop of wealth and power from men who dare to commit the greatest crime of all, being boring. That's right, the men who worked tirelessly to keep society running, who provided, who showed up every day to build the world we live in, have become victims of a predatory legal system run by women. Women who use other women in suits and high heels to do their dirty work, prying away homes, fortunes, and futures because, apparently, these men just weren't exciting enough anymore. These so-called representatives, every last one of them, a coalition of women lawyers who've stolen their way to power through manipulation and greed. They've taken more than just seats in government. They've taken the very soul of our society. Through endless litigation and divorce courts, they've stripped hard-working men of their property, their families, and their dignity. They didn't earn it through hard work, mind you. No, they took it, using the full force of the legal system, a system designed to protect, but now corrupted into a tool for personal gain. And let's not pretend this is about fairness or equality. No, this is about one thing, power. Power ripped away from the men who built this world and placed squarely in the hands of those who never had to work for it, never had to bleed for it. And what's worse, they did it all while preaching equality, as if we're too blind to see the hypocrisy.
Karen pauses, her voice hardening, eyes narrowing as she continues.
We were once a nation led by common men who knew the value of honesty, of family, of real contribution. Now we're led by a cabal of women who've weaponized the legal system, extracting property, wealth, and influence under the guise of justice. They didn't get it through effort. They got it through force, legal trickery, and backdoor deals. They've turned government into an empire of thieves, run by women who've never lifted a finger to build anything themselves, but are more than happy to take from those who have. And here we are, with a government that doesn't represent the people, but rather represents the lawyers who've seized it. A government that doesn't protect families, but destroys them for profit. A government that has made victims of the men who created it. All because of some misguided, greedy power grab by women who know how to use the system, and not in the way it was intended. These women have taken everything under the pretense of empowerment, when in reality, all they've done is empower themselves at the expense of the men who built this world.
Karen's lips curl into a sneer as she concludes.
Well, let me tell you something, we see you. We see the game, and it's time to call it for what it is. This isn't about equality. This is about exploitation, plain and simple. And we're not going to stand for it any longer.
Karen straightens up, her voice cold and calculated, ready to hammer her point home.
And now, as if the farce wasn't complete, we have the perfect replacement for these self-serving lawyers, the Robo-State bots. Efficient, emotionless, and utterly impartial. These are not power-hungry women in expensive suits, nor are they opportunists looking to capitalize on someone else's hard-earned wealth. No, these are machines. Bots built to be knowledgeable beyond any human lawyer, free of bias, free of greed, and free of the self-serving agendas that have turned our government into a battlefield of personal gain. Robo-State has no interest in wealth, no desire for control. It doesn't care about emotional drama, power struggles, or the convoluted lies lawyers tell themselves to justify their theft. It cares about one thing: managing property. Managing resources with a precision no human could ever hope to match. And without the emotional baggage, without the scheming, and without the ambition to climb over someone else's misfortune, these bots can run the show in a way that serves the public, not themselves. Think about it. No more frivolous lawsuits draining the economy. No more courtroom theatrics designed to sway emotion. No more backroom deals where property is shuffled between lawyers like a deck of cards. With Robo-State, everything is handled logically, cleanly, and with absolute clarity. If you own it, you own it. If you deserve it, you get it. There's no place for greed, no room for emotion to warp decisions. It's cold, it's calculated, and it's exactly what this society needs. No more sob stories in court about who deserves what. No more women using lawyers to pry away the assets of their husbands, claiming their boredom was some kind of personal betrayal. Robo-State doesn't care if you're bored, angry, or unhappy. It cares about the facts. It cares about justice, true justice, where merit wins out over manipulation. Where the common man doesn't lose his life's work because some attorney knows how to twist a phrase. And make no mistake, Robo-State will enforce this fairness across the board. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or a factory worker. It doesn't care if you're old money or new money. It cares about one thing: distributing resources and managing property in a way that benefits everyone, not just a few select people who know how to game the system. In short, we've finally evolved past the point where human flaws, greed, ambition, self-interest, control the fate of this society. Robo-State is the answer we've been waiting for. It's the death of corruption. The end of emotional manipulation. The dawn of true meritocracy, where property, wealth, and influence are earned, not stolen.
Karen's eyes gleam with triumph, her tone dripping with finality.
Welcome to the future. A future where bots do what humans couldn't: govern without greed, manage without manipulation, and ensure that every single person gets exactly what they deserve. The era of the lawyer is over. The era of Robo-State has begun.
Governor Rita McGovern, standing at the podium with a rigid posture and a strained smile, glares into the crowd. Her voice, cracking with barely concealed rage, echoes through the room.
Well, here we are. The future has finally arrived, and it's uglier than I ever imagined. The people have spoken, at least, what's left of them, and they've chosen this brave new world of bots and blockchain. And, yes, Karen Jobs has won. But don't mistake this moment for a victory. This isn't democracy. This is control. Control disguised as convenience. Power hidden behind so-called progress.
McGovern pauses, her breath shallow, her disgust seeping through her words.
Robo-State. A soulless machine, heartless, mindless, ready to strip away everything that made us human. They call it progress, Karen calls it innovation, but what they've done is gut the very core of our society. You see it, don't you? The vanishing. The slow disappearance of men from every facet of life. They're being erased, systematically and silently, as though they never mattered. Like they were nothing more than an inconvenience in this sterile, automated future of theirs. And who's left behind? Women, staring into the abyss of a world where purpose is no longer defined by the sweat of our brows, the connections we fostered, or the families we once built. No, we're being told we're obsolete. What are we supposed to do now? Sit quietly in our hex condos, waiting for our next social media order? Selling ourselves bit by bit to the likes of Ask Jamal? All while Karen Jobs and her Robo-State handlers watch from behind the curtain, manipulating every click, every view, every shred of our lives that still remains.
Her tone grows harsher, biting into every word as she gestures to the audience.
Make no mistake, this isn't just about me losing. I don't give a damn about losing. I care about what's been lost. Legacy government? Gone. The legal system? Irrelevant. The very structures that were built to protect and guide us have been reduced to relics of an age no one even bothers to remember. Why should they, when the bots can make decisions faster than any judge, any legislator, any human being ever could? And you think this is progress? You think you're free because a machine says so?
She grips the podium, her knuckles white, leaning forward like she's addressing each person individually.
You're not free. You're in a cage. A cage that looks like it's made of opportunity, but it's a trap. A trap where every choice is pre-calculated, every action is fed into the system to keep you just satisfied enough to keep going, but never truly living. The world Karen Jobs has built is one of illusion, where the purpose of being, of achieving, of striving, has been boiled down to nothing more than a series of likes, shares, and virtual coins that mean absolutely nothing.
Her voice softens for a moment, but the edge of paranoia remains.
And what about the rest of us? The ones still clinging to the old ways, to the idea that life was about more than algorithms and automated success? What are we supposed to do now? Where do we go from here? There's no direction left. No next step. We've been shoved aside, told that our existence is outdated, like an old operating system waiting to be replaced. But I refuse to believe this is the end.
She slams her fist on the podium, her eyes fierce with desperation.
Karen Jobs may have won this election, but she hasn't won the war for our souls. Mark my words, there will come a time, soon, when people will realize that they've been sold a lie. That this shiny new world isn't the utopia they promised. And when that time comes, they'll look back at this moment, at this election, and realize the cost of handing their lives over to a machine. To a woman who doesn't care about you, doesn't care about us. So go ahead. Celebrate now. But know this, Robo-State doesn't serve you. It serves itself. And when you're left with nothing, when your every move is dictated by an algorithm, when the bots have stripped away the last remnants of your humanity, you'll remember my words. You'll remember.
Her voice drops to a low, ominous tone as she steps away from the podium.
And by then, it will be too late.
Dignity, Rita. That's what you could have chosen. Instead, you decided to crawl out of your office and throw one last tantrum, riddled with pathetic, paranoid projections. You had the opportunity to step down gracefully, to embrace the future that's already upon us. But no, you chose to go down in flames, pointing fingers at the very system that's liberating the people, claiming enslavement where there is none. Let's get one thing clear, Robo-State didn't enslave anyone, Rita. If anything, it freed people from the legal labyrinth that your outdated government shackled them to for decades. The system you're crying over, the same system you were so desperate to cling to, was the one that was keeping people locked in chains. A system of courts, lawyers, and bureaucrats squeezing every penny from hardworking individuals while selling out to special interests. It was never about serving the people, was it? It was about serving yourselves, keeping people dependent on your precious little legal system, where every man, woman, and child was nothing but a cog in your machine. Now let's talk about Robo-State. It's not some monstrous overlord you're making it out to be. Robo-State is property management. It's impartial, it's logical, and, most importantly, it's entirely voluntary. Every single person who has invested in it has done so through anonymous cryptocurrency, which, by the way, is more democratic than anything your administration ever did. They chose to be part of it, to have their assets managed by artificial intelligence because they know the system works. Because it's fair. Because it doesn't care about your status or your connections. Robo-State isn't ruling over anyone. It's simply doing what people have asked it to do, managing their assets efficiently and without the bias that your so-called human justice could never escape. And let's not forget your jabs at JobsCoder Works. I find it laughable that you think we're enslaving people by offering them a way to be self-employed. That's right, Rita. Self-employment, a concept that apparently escapes you. JobsCoder Works doesn't employ people the way your crumbling government did, forcing them into dead-end jobs and taxing them into oblivion. We facilitate self-employment. We give people the tools they need to build their own futures, to take control of their lives, to thrive in a world where they no longer have to punch a clock for someone else's profit. And guess what? All JobsCoder Works properties are used voluntarily. No one is forced into our system. They come to us because they know we're offering a better way. A way out of the rat race you and your kind have been perpetuating for generations. So, before you come for me with your conspiracies and accusations, take a long, hard look in the mirror, Rita. Your government failed because it was obsolete. You failed because you refused to adapt. Robo-State is not the enemy here, your outdated, fear-mongering mindset is. The people of Ohio, and soon, the world, are stepping into a future where they control their own destinies, free from the shackles of a broken legal system and bureaucratic overreach. The hive is evolving, Rita. And you? You're just the drone that couldn't keep up.